RadRant on. Keep fighting. Hey folks, welcome to RadRants. Thank you for watching. You are the muscle behind this mayhem. If it hits, smash that like button, subscribe, and share it with your pack. Drop a comment. I'm reading all of them. Right now, this channel is tearing into Cochise County's chaos, like the election fiasco, with some Arizona State grit and national madness tossed in, so let's rip into it. Again, welcome to RadRants, my rant, my opinion. Yeah, anything you hear me say is literally my opinion. If it ain't backed by hard evidence, treat it like that. Don't sue me, whatever. Let's talk about the Cochise County Jail District election, the all mail-in fiasco that disenfranchised thousands and exposed just how broken our vote-by-mail system really is. Imagine, if you will, a major financial and political decision with long-term tax implications for every resident in Cochise County was passed based on mail-in ballots with zero chain of custody, zero, objectively supported by only about 1 in 6 people who were mailed a ballot. Now, I want to start by saying, yes, the Board of Supervisors has agreed to settle the dispute. 2 of the problematic board members, Peggy Judd and Ann English, they're gone. That's progress. The jail district measure will be put back on the regular November ballot. As part of the settlement between Dan LaChance et al., the existing yes votes on the previous flawed election will count as the needed signatures for a referendum or an initiative or whatever. But let's be clear. This should have never happened the way it did, because the real scandal isn't just about what the measure was, it's how it was passed through a deeply flawed all mail-in election with zero chain of custody and massive voter disenfranchisement. Let's talk about the chain of custody because it's at the heart of the issue and no one's talking about it loud enough. In-person voting has security built in. You show your ID, you check in, you get a ballot, you vote, you drop it in a sealed box or scan it into a machine. There's a paper trail, there's supervision, there's verifiable chain of custody from start to finish. But vote by mail? The county drops a ballot in the mail, and from that point forward, they just hope it makes it to you. And back again. There's no delivery confirmation. There's no guarantee it reached the right voter. There's no oversight of who filled it out. There's no tracking of what happened in between. Just trust. That's not good enough, especially for a vote that creates a permanent new tax district and reworks how we fund law enforcement and correction in this county. Now, let me show you exactly what this lack of accountability led to. The county mailed out approximately 76,000 ballots for this election. 47,000 of those ballots were never returned. Gone. Disappeared. No explanation, no record, no accountability. Here I have a chart. Here's the chart that shows a graphical representation that over 61% of the ballots just vanished. Were they lost in the mail, sent to the wrong address, thrown away, intercepted? We don't know. The green is the ballots that were returned in percentage, and the red, they just went away. Nobody cares. Nobody knows. We don't know what happened to them. And that is, and always has been, the problem with mail-in voting. No chain of custody. And it gets worse. 10,800 registered voters, real eligible voters, electors, were labeled inactive, and they never even received a ballot. They weren't notified. They didn't even have a choice. They were just shut right out of the process. That is systematic voter suppression, whether intentional or not. And here's the final punch. Out of the 76,000 ballots mailed out, only 25,033 were returned and counted. That's a turnout rate of just 32.8%. That's less than 1/3 of the eligible voters in the county. And the number of yes votes that actually approved the jail district and the tax, 1,000, beg your pardon, 12,881. That's it. 12,881 yes votes out of 76,000 mailed ballots. Here's another chart for you. Do the math on this. That's just 16.9% or thereabouts of yes votes out of the ballots that were returned. That means 1 in 6 voters, fewer than 1 in 6 voters, that actually were presumed to have been mailed a ballot, actually supported this measure. Wow, okay. Well, you think that's bad? Just hang on. I have one more chart for you here. It gets even uglier. If you include the inactive labeled voters, when you add those into the total eligible voters and compare the yes votes, the number drops even lower, down to 14.8%. 14.8% of the Cochise County registered voters, electors, were deemed to have been enough to pass the jail district tax in Cochise County to sock us all with a half-cent sales tax for 25 years. This is just crazy. So here's the summary. A tax that by any measure would be expected to cash in for the amount of $350 to $400 million over 25 years for a jail that is estimated to cost around $100 million. Of that $100 million, we already have $20 million guaranteed from the state as a grant or something, and another $2 million from somewhere else. I'm not sure where that came from, but it's been widely reported that another $2 million is in the works. This makes the $100 million jail not justice complex, because that's what they want, is a justice complex. They sold jail and they're wanting justice complex. Bait and switch, plain and simple. They only need another $78 million. That's a far cry from the $350 to $400 million slush fund that they were trying to bamboozle us with. Let me say that again. A major financial and political decision with long-term tax implications for every resident in Cochise County was passed based on mail-in ballots with zero chain of custody, and objectively supported by only about 1 in 6 people who were mailed a ballot. Don't forget, 10,800 people weren't even mailed a ballot. And we're supposed to call that a legitimate result? This isn't just a paperwork issue. This is a failure of trust. This is a failure of process. And this is a warning sign. Yes, the measure is getting revoted on in November. That's almost a win, but it's not the end of the conversation. We have to fix the chain of custody problem. We must fix how we handle vote by mail. That means eliminating mail-in voting, except in extreme circumstances like those with physical problems, preventing their getting to the polls, overseas citizens like military and such, and only with verifiable proof that the person who filled out the ballot was the person that was intended to fill it out. Perhaps tracking those ballots like certified mail, requiring delivery confirmation and signature or ID verification that it was delivered only to the person intended. Giving voters real-time visibility into where their ballot is also an option. And making sure in-person voting is always available and accessible. Remember, this last election, there was no option to walk into a polling center and fill out a ballot. Because if we keep running elections like this, we're going to keep getting results that don't reflect the will of the people, but will reflect the will of whoever navigates the system best. This time, it was a jail tax. Next time, it might be something bigger. And if 61% of the ballots can just disappear without consequences, we're in trouble. Let's fix it before it fails again. Mail-in voting should be a convenience, not the only option, not a black hole. We now have a board that seems ready to do better. we need to hold them to it. That means showing up to meetings, watching their actions, asking hard questions, and making noise when something smells wrong. If this county is going to recover from the embarrassment of this election, it starts with voter confidence, and we don't get that by ignoring 47,000 vanished ballots and pretending that it's all fine. It's not fine. It's a warning shot. Let's make sure we never let it happen again. Well, that's it for this Rad Rant, folks. If you liked the fire, smash that like button, hit subscribe, share it with your pack, drop a comment. I want to hear your take. Keep fighting, stay tough out there, and I'll catch you next time with more to chew on.